cracking, everybody? The Lotus Snacks Movie Club is here for our discussion of the month for Mr. and Mrs. Smith from 2005. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Sweet.
I like
Jokes,
how we all were like, thumbs up, bro.
Yeah.
Jokes, can you do me a favor and make sure that this is shared into the movie club thing, please, for us? Thank you. Okay, let's get started. We are here to discuss, like I said, Mr. and Mrs. Smith from 2005, directed by Doug Liman and starring Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. So let's get right to it. Who got to go see this in the theater when it came out 2005? I was okay. Just us three?
I might have been working then, actually, so possibly. I don't remember
2005. I just thought about that.
Back then.
I was in school. I probably didn't have time playing in the band. I don't think I had that much time.
I was also at
Okay.
school.
Okay, so y'all saw these at home.
Yes, sir.
Most likely.
Okay. So y'all know where we like to start with this thing. Give our current ranking. So let's go around, see where we're all sitting at the start of this discussion. So let's just start at the top and move across. Gage, I'm gonna start with you. What do you give this as of right now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm sitting at an 8.
Okay.
I think I could be swayed either way, though.
Okay. All right. As for myself, I'll go next. I'm sitting at a 9 right now, personally. Frosty, what about you?
8, actually. And I'm kind of in the same boat where I could go either way, but I do love me some Brangelina, so.
Okay. All right. Dom, what about you?
Probably 9.
Okay. Jokes?
8.
Okay. So pretty much good rankings, high rankings all across the board. All right. So let's just get into it and start. And I want to start actually with the actors themselves. I want to know what your thoughts are. I'm going to start with you, Frosty, of Brad and Angie being the Smiths themselves. Do you think they were a good choice? And if you don't, would you have switched? Who would you have switched them with? But what do you think of their acting as a whole as far as being the two main protagonists in this film?
They have both been like super action stars. Like this was, I thought, in my opinion, brilliantly cast. And then they're both beautiful. So, and fantastic actors.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful.
Just beautiful and fantastic actors.
Yeah.
All right. How do you feel about that, Jokes?
I'm solid. I couldn't really think of what pair to put together. Like, I think I don't know if they were together at this point. I'm pretty sure they weren't. I feel like this was
they got together during the movie.
Yeah. So they definitely had good chemistry on screen with each other through this. And I know that can be a hard thing, especially when you're trying to cast and pick people for the part. But I do believe they did an excellent job. I don't know honestly if you could recreate this version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith the same way, probably with 2 other individuals. I think the 2 of them were perfect and solid for the roles for this one.
Okay, what about you, Domingo?
Yeah. Damn. Let me see what was the question again. My bad. So,
I was
Not
asking
paying
about
attention.
the two main protagonists, Brad and Angelina, as they both played the Smiths. Did you think they did a good job? If you didn't, who would you have replaced them with and such?
yeah, I think they did a good job. I mean, at the time, there was a hot item, and that whole thing what happened with them in that was good. That's actually the movie that made me like Angie a little bit more. Like, for I just like really think she's like gorgeous. So no, I think right now when they recast movies or when they want to do them, I think you can get somebody else to do it again. That's why I think in the new one, like the dress and the cowboy boots I was talking about, I think that's kind of like they were them ending it out. So I think if they really wanted to do it again, they could find somebody that's that. But this role perfectly cast with them, especially Vince Vaughn's character. I like that.
Okay, we'll get to him in a second. What about you, Gage?
I mean, 2005, bro. This is probably the most perfect casting you could have done at the time. Like, if I had to put other people in their places, it's hard to do thinking about who could have done that at that time. Like, I don't think there's anybody else that could have done it. Like, if you were like, who will we cast now? I could give you a bunch of answers. But for then, I think they were it. Like, I think they're pretty perfect.
Okay, what are we thinking about the surrounding cast outside of them? Like you just brought up Vince Vaughn, Domingo. Like, what are your thoughts about the supporting cast?
Kerry Washington, I think that's probably one of the perfect roles for her. She ain't had too much acting, not too much to say. Perfect for her part. I saw,
Damn.
this is how I feel. But I saw Ari Gold's wife in there from off of Entourage. She was in there. I saw the girl that used to play on some show. She was in there. And there was someone else that was actually in there that was actually good. But Vince Vaughn's character, even I forgot the young guy that they captured that ended up being the one. He's funny too. But Vince Vaughn though,
Is it Adrian Brody?
Adrian Brody, that's with him?
That
That's
was
what
Adrian Brody,
right?
wasn't it?
Is it not?
Was it?
No,
that wasn't
No.
Adrian Brody.
Hold
That
on.
don't sound right at all.
That's why I was like,
No.
hold up. Let me pull up the
Jokes,
chat.
research that.
Pull up the chat, man.
Frosty's on it.
Okay.
Adam Brody.
Adam Brody.
Adam Brody.
Sorry.
There you go. Yeah, he
I knew it was a
funny.
Brody.
He's a
It
Brody.
was a bro.
It's Adrian
What up,
Brody.
Brody?
Yeah.
And then you had the man Keith David being the voice of the boss. That was pretty dope. I mean, great people. But Vince Vaughn's character stuck out to me the most besides Brad and Angelina. So yeah, it's pretty good.
I can agree with that. He was definitely the standout as far as the support ones. He was hilarious. He did his role. He did his job, I would say, perfectly. As far as Adam and Brangelina, for me, I agree with y'all. I think they were perfect for this role. Like their chemistry on screen was just spot on for the entire time. I can't imagine it any other way besides those two in that movie at that time. Just it all just kind of flowed and fit perfectly. Jules, what do you think about the supporting cast surrounding them?
I think they did a good job at putting people in place, one that wouldn't end up outshining Brad and Angelina. Don't get me wrong. At the time, they were probably like two of the. I don't know if you can say two of the. I don't know if biggest would be the way to say it, but during that time, they had started being in a lot of lead roles at that point for it. But I think they did a good job at making sure that the two of them didn't get outshined. Vince Vaughn was just being Vince Vaughn. Like I feel like all they did was just tell me, hey, listen, you're in your mother's basement or you're in your mother's house, you're living there, but you're like the in-between for these two. Go and just be you. Like I don't think they had to do too much with them, but having like the Kerry Washington, who honestly, you're right, Domingo, having a few lines to throw in there. But I think they did a good job at making sure there was enough people in places in those, like say the Keith David having the voice to be that person, not to have them on screen. But overall, I think they did a solid work at making sure that it was a supporting cast and not the outshining cast.
Okay. What about you, Frosty?
There are a couple of the women from her agency. One of them was the lead in Once Upon a Time, which is a show that I love.
Oh, she was.
And then the blonde one was actually in Law and Order. She was like a lawyer there. So that kind of like took me out for a second. I was like, oh, hey, but I knew they were in it. I just like had forgotten about it. But
I completely forgot she was in Once Upon a Time. I saw that's
snap.
House.
I didn't catch that. That is her.
Yeah. It was really neat for me when it first came out, or one of the times I saw it, like maybe rewatching it, and I was like, wait, that's her. And like, yeah. So it was neat getting to see all these other supporting roles they have past or current works at the time that they were heavily involved in. So I thought they were like perfect for supporting. They didn't overwrite or anything like that. So yeah.
All right. Gage, what about you? Any thoughts on the supporting cast?
The only important people in the supporting cast are Vince Vaughn and Keith David. You could have put anybody else in any of the rest of them roles. This movie is about Brad and Angelina.
Right.
That's it. Anybody else could have played any of those roles. None of them people matter. That's how I feel about it. Like you could have rotated. Anybody could have climbed that mountain with Carrie instead of Carrie. I mean, like anybody could have said what she said in the joint. Anybody could have stood there and watched the little films. Like nobody else was important at all in this movie except for them, Keith David's voice, and Vince Vaughn in his mama house. That's it, dog. Everybody else is cannon fodder. All of them could have died. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yep.
They all could have like this movie does a really, really special job of like focusing in on the titular characters, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, I can't even think of what his name is. The person who is the voice of the therapist is somebody. I cannot think of who he is, but he's also somebody. He's like somebody well known.
Oh, really?
It's the dude. I don't know his name, but you remember? Well, you might not know B. But y'all remember in the first part of The Dark Knight when the dude was robbing the bank, and the dude said, "You don't know who you are. You already dead." The dude came. That's the dude who it was. I can't remember his name. He also played in what's that movie? That TV show? The dudes escape from jail. What's going on?
Prison Break.
Prison Break.
Yeah, he was on that too.
Talk about as close to the escape from jail as you can get. Prison Break. Yeah, I mean, the supporting cast supported them. I guess you know what I mean. Like nobody was important except for Vince Vaughn. He was the only person that had lines that really mattered in any way. And again, like Joe said, Slim was just being Slim.
Yep.
He could have just been cat. He was like literally Vince Vaughn as Vince Vaughn.
That was
high alert, like straight
I
up.
almost
Like,
took you out.
yeah, like that clearly was not in the script. He was just getting to be Vince Vaughn. It was cool.
From Ben, "Sup fellas, love this flick. Started the Brangelina moment, according to a friend of mine, and the end of the Braniford moment. Love the extended version for obvious reasons." Okay.
I've never seen the extended.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I've never seen the extended version. Yeah, so that's why when Gage asked me about it,
take a look.
That's why when
you don't say nothing, then you have to take a look. Yeah.
So now I'm gonna have to go watch the extended version.
Benji the Tank.
All right, so let's move on. I want to move on to the audio with the movie because last month we were doing Scott Pilgrim, and you had brought up, Domingo, how the action sequence, especially in the house between them two, y'all would use at Best Buy as far as like to show off the audio equipment and stuff like that. What makes, and of course everybody get a chance to answer, but I want to start with you, Domingo. What makes that scene so special from an audio perspective? Because I'm watching it myself and I hear the shotgun go off and I'm like, wow, I haven't seen it so long. Like that thing was amazing the way it sounded, but what am I missing besides just that one sound that makes that scene so special?
Get ready. Do the whole presentation like back in the day, bro. You know what I'm saying?
My first word was gonna say I'm gonna try to make this short. So you already cut it off.
Hey, go ahead.
Going to what we was talking about earlier about the experience in the movies, you got to. If you really want to see a movie for what it's made and how it's done, you gotta go see it in the theater. If you do not, you cannot have a cheesy surround sound system. You can't have something that's just a sound bar, 2 speakers, whatever, unless you got like a really, really good sound bar and really good surround sound speaker to do so. You got to remember, this is actually like I don't know if it's a dramedy, but it's an action comedy. So then you got the little quirky music in the background, all the little things they do. So in that scene that they're in the house, as a matter of fact, that's the scene that won the demo contest. I came in second place, but that scene was the one that actually beat what I put up. So the thing is,
if you don't mind me asking, what was the scene you put together? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, me? It was an audio scene, Alicia Keys live.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something from another part of the movie, but continue. Go ahead.
No. So, yeah, that's the thing that got it. And when I still got the contest on DVD, so I could watch back and see what happened. But the music in the background, like when he fumbles with the actual ceramic dish, and it goes and it slides off, and then it just hits the floor. Every direction with the actual, when she shoots the shotgun through the wall, it comes off. And even when she actually and the shells pop off, and he's on the floor, she said, "You all right, baby?" And he grabs the floor and he goes like, you hear the floor and the gun rattle against the side. So you have all that, and just like the dust from the walls, or the sheetrock from the walls falling. And the different sounds of every different gun. When she changes, she puts the automatic on and starts shooting through the refrigerator. All the little pings, even when he throw a knife against the wall and it makes that little sound. Even though some things is actually Foley or just put in after, they had everything directional for where the gun was shooting. And plus they added in this stupid music that went along with it as well too. So yeah, I mean, it's put together sound-wise very, very nice. Keep the action, but still remember it's still a comedy. Even when they was kicking each other on the seats, on the floor and stuff like that. It's still a comedy mixed with Express Yourself. Kind of crazy, man. The NWA jump was doing it. Wow.
So like that, bro. That silence, bro, into that, and they just start wrecking, bro. She comes in with that joint is,
So
that's
you
one
agree?
of the best sounding movies. Like just from an engineering perspective,
Yeah.
that scene alone, it's the silence that sells the audio in those moments. It's they're creeping through the house and you get that little kind of like that violin, very kind of 80s, like doom, 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 when he's like breaks the window to come in through the, and you hear the glass like hit the ground, you know what I mean? He comes in and it's like you can hear his footsteps, but he's supposed to be being quiet, you know what I mean? And it's like, this house, she knows this house. Clearly neither one of y'all know the house but so well, because both of y'all have guns.
Both of y'all got stuff hidden everywhere.
But like, bro, when she stands at the top of the steps, straight up, David Fincher.
Oh yeah, and pull the dress up,
bro.
She pulled the dress.
When she stands at the top of the steps with the shotgun and pulls the dress up between her legs, dog, and crouches down and aims, and it gets dead silent. He makes that one noise.
And he just knew
so
it. He's
silent. Drops the top. She fires that shot. It is like you hear the shotgun fire on one side, and you hear the wall split in the opposite speaker. Right?
It sucks for me. So our theater is not set up, so we were listening to it with TV audio only.
Yeah, nah. Listen, let me tell you something. Fix that and do it again.
Tag along with that. What do you have? What do you have as a system?
I don't know. It was gifted to me, but it's a huge system. It's 2 tall tower speakers, one center, box for the center speaker. I think it was one tower speaker was like $600. So it's like a $2,000.
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm trying to. Don't worry about it. That's a good.
I know you would probably know.
Yeah, that scene, bro. Alone. I mean, look. Here's the thing. The audio was like that throughout the movie. That scene, just because it's so quiet, she fires that one shot, and then you can hear the shell hit and roll down the steps, and then roll across, and then again, like Domingo says, "You okay, baby?" And he takes the gun and like wiggles it. Like, bro, it sounds incredible. And this is, let me just tell you something. Like, that movie is the movie that proved to me that movies sound better with the lights off. Sounds incredible with the lights off, bro. Like, you could just, because it's one of them things where like we would do demos and just be like, yo, just listen, just close your eyes, because we want people to listen to where things are coming from. Right. And so your eyes are telling you one thing, but your eyes are still pointed at the screen. And you still have to have a little bit of a suspension of disbelief to believe that sound is landing behind you or whatever it is. It's just handled really, really well in a world that was like just barely getting into, like, for home audio was like just barely getting into like 7.2. Like just barely getting into 7.2. Like if you wanted a receiver that could do 7.2, you was looking at like 1,000, 1,300 or something like that to be able to pull something like that off. So yeah, the audio is like that throughout this movie, throughout the whole movie. Look at Domingo getting goosebumps. Talking about the audio. Yeah.
Anything Frosty jokes you like to add? I know you probably don't have like as far as like the insight that they had. But
I think they had the solid. I'm kind of in the boat with Frosty because I didn't watch this in the living room. I ended up watching this upstairs, so I didn't have the sound surround system. It was one of those things I was like, I should do it.
It does that? I'm not getting that at all.
Let me say this. It's going to tell you a little bit about it. When I was married and when I got my house, the first thing I had in my house was a surround sound system and a big screen TV. I had lawn furniture. I had the TV and the sound before I had anything else.
It's like, I'm good with fold-out chairs for right now.
It's real.
Oh man, I appreciate that both you, Gage and Domingo. I was actually looking forward to answering that question because I remember you saying that last month. So I was waiting for that scene just kind of listen to hear because I haven't seen it so long. So I actually really enjoyed what you had to say on that one. I appreciate it. All right, let's move on to the action in this movie. Gage, we are action junkies. We have admitted this time and time again. It's one of the things we just bond with and love. I want to know, how do you feel about the action in this movie? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it still hold up since 2005? Like, what is your thoughts on the action throughout the movie?
I mean, it's passable. You know what I mean? Like, for what it is, bro. Like, this is not like kung fu flick kind of action, bro.
Right.
And it's not visceral.
And John Wick.
Action, yeah, like it's not visceral action, right?
Ooh.
It's literally right in the middle. It is that, like Domingo was saying, it's that amalgamation of like comedy and action that you gotta give a little bit of leeway with it. I mean, it's got some of that Bourne identity. We not really seeing what's happening in the fight, but then when something lands, it feels like it's important. You know what I mean? When it happens. So like the action's cool, bro. I mean, to be honest with you, I know it's 2005. The only real issue I have with this movie, let me run that back. Probably the biggest issue I have with this movie is her Spider-Man and out of that building at the end of the joint.
And look,
Spider-Man, Mary Poppins, dog. She hit the I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. And
hold on to that. We'll get to the next question I have. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that, Cage, with my next question.
Because for real, other than that, like, I mean, look, here's the thing. The only real fighting in it is her and him. It's like one major fight scene between her and him. It's cool. It's not the greatest joint ever, bro. I would pick, there are hundreds of movies I would put ahead of that. As far as the shooting and that kind of action is concerned, there are hundreds of movies I'd put over this joint too. Older movies, bro. Face Off got way better shooting scenes than this does. And they make more sense. It's a lot of shooting in this joint don't make no sense. And here's the thing. I don't even care. I don't even care.
That's
it's
the
like,
making of a good movie when those stuff don't bother you, Gage. Yeah, that's the thing.
You already know.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? Like action scenes are built on what happens preceding the action and what happens following the action. That's really what makes we get caught up in like what the action looks like and how it's shot and who threw an elbow at who and what kind of styles they're using and all that kind of stuff. Like this joint has mixes. It's Krav Maga in here. They're throwing all kinds of stuff around in here, right? Mm-hmm. But like leading into the action is the super quiet and then the shooting and stuff blowing up. Mm-hmm. Oh, and now we gonna fight? Like you just blew up the kitchen. Now we gonna fight? Mm-hmm. That's like there's a layer of like building up to something that seems like the explosion should be the pinnacle, right? Mm-hmm. They bring it back down, bring you to a fight, turn that into a different kind of exclamation point, interrupted with some comedy. Oh, let's knock on the door, see what's going on, because it's kind of wild in here. And then we have another calm before the storm. Mm-hmm. Now we're gonna attack the whole house, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go back into action mode, kind of get into that spy thriller. I got guns hidden, whatever. Why you give me the girl gun? You know what I mean? Like again, comedy still sprinkled in there. Are we
really doing it? Like, take it.
Now so it's a ride, right? Like it starts that very quiet, that first very loud shotgun. So it's like action has to tell a story, and it does that. So like even when action isn't like the best fighting or the best choreography or whatever, if it tells a solid story, which is what this does, it just goes from very quiet to like the loudest thing ever to start it, gets quiet again, then the music comes in. Express yourself. Now we fight, right? Mm-hmm. You're wrecking, and then it calms down again. You get some comedy sprinkled in, and now we're elevating it again. So they're attacking a house, and then we get to an explosion. Now we in the street. You know what I mean? Now we got a car chase. We got, you know what I mean?
In the minivan.
Right. And it's not even a great car chase. But dog, I drove a minivan for a long time. I was like, you did not. You didn't pull that off. That's not happening. Not even, right? But that double sliding door, So convenient.
Great.
You know what I mean? So, like, again, using the comedy in the midst of the action allows you to kind of break it up where, like, it doesn't take itself so seriously that you as a viewer should also take the action that seriously. And so you just kind of let it, you know what I mean? Yeah, ride the wave, you know what I mean? It just is like, you know, and then they do it again. You get past that and then they bring it down again. All right, well, now we got to hide. Let's figure it out. Let's go get dude. So, again, the peaks and valleys of the action throughout do the movie itself justice. And that's why it's like, that's why it works. That's why it works.
I actually agree with you 100%. Like, it's not the best as far as shooting scenes or hand-to-hand combat scenes, but within their banter and how the movie is structured, how the movie is working, they fit perfectly within everything else that's going on. Like, it doesn't need to be over the top and visceral and that type of stuff. It just needs to fit in that nice sweet spot that they already got going on in the movie, and I think they executed that well. Jokes, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, overall, like it wasn't nothing over the top. I think it was just enough, obviously, to like Gage said, the real big fight was really between Angelina and Brad.
Yes, Ma.
That was really it. Obviously the shooting at the end when they're in, like, I guess that's like a mall or like a hardware store. I guess
it's like a home goods.
Like home goods type of store.
A mini IKEA.
So the sneaking and, you know, taking folks out, I feel like there could have been a little better instances about that. Like a few of them were okay. But I think it was just enough for you to be like, oh snap, but not necessarily, you know, like that over the top. Like we've seen choreography in many other of movies for it. I think it fit this type of action comedy, what we were going at. Just like Brad, like when they at the end when they're in the neighbor's house and they come out and they steal his car and Brad knocks the dude out and then gets out, takes his gun and just kicks him while he's down and then hits the car in reverse. It just rolls off.
I laughed so hard. Like I don't think I've never seen that joint before.
My man was like, "Dog, they're getting young," and just put that joint in reverse and just ran over my man. Well, okay. So yeah, I think for this movie, it was perfectly fine for it. It didn't need to be, you know, super kung flu flick. I feel like that would have taken away from what the movie actually is if they'd have done something like that.
All right, what about you, Frosty? Where are you at on the action?
I loved this movie with its action just because it was fun to watch. Like, yeah, it's not the best. None of it's like the greatest fight scene that you'll ever watch, but it is entertaining to watch. The part where he's like kicking her up against the couch, like it's just the implied like destroying her. Like it's all really a fun fight scene, especially that one. And then like the end one is like it's fun, but it also has like some serious notes where he watches her fall from the ceiling and it's like, oh my, like he's like rushing to her aid. It's just like another level of their relationship. So yeah, I loved all of the action in this.
Okay. Domingo, what about you?
Yeah, the action was good. Like I said, it's a mix, like Mom said, basically a mix of comedy, action, pretty good. The end, you know, even the fact where they look like, okay, great, you know, this could be the end for both of us. All right, let's just go out. And then you don't know if they make it into that flash happens and they're back in the therapy thing. And it's like, okay, great, it's good. But, or no, I think that comes around like a little spin that goes to the end. It kind of makes you know that they done. But action was good. I definitely like that the sliding door thing. That was hilarious. But and then the fact when he was like, "Y'all let you know I was married before," and she slams on brakes, and start hitting them like,
yes,
it's just, you know, like a real family or husband and wife issue. But they just happen to be spies. So it's like a mix of Get Smart and the War of the Roses, but just with guns and spies. So it's actually really good. I don't have no complaints about the movie.
Okay, cool. All right, let's have a little fun. Let's go with something that we hated, we did not like whatsoever about this movie. Gage, I'll let you start what you were going on about since you had already started.
Hey, dog, it just was like so disrespectful how she just jumped out there with, like, listen, It's literally the worst. It's literally the worst joint in this whole movie. It just is. Like it's like her killing dude, hooking her purse straps on whatever that was on the side of the building, and just jumping over the side of the joint and come like it was so bad, bro. It just, I mean, it looked like Spider-Man 2. Like it joint was bad. It just did. I was like, did she just Spider-Man? And I'm gonna tell you how I know it was bad, because I didn't remember that at all. Like I didn't remember that part at all. When I saw it, I was like, did she
push that joint to the back of your mind?
That joint
Yeah.
way out. Like, yeah. I mean, look, I could nitpick the joint all day. Like, listen, if you're not shooting the gun in the joint with the gas going, that's not blowing up the kitchen. And if it did, that whole house would have been gone.
That
It
whole
ain't
house.
just be a little fire in the kitchen. And the only other thing that really bothered me, bro, this is just on a personal note, because I be working in a hardware store some days, bro. And I want you to know, have you ever picked up a wrench that size? That wrench is
Hey, listen, them
that wrench,
that is not light.
Well, he
slim. He was slim. I was like, them joints the most plastic wrenches.
like, bro,
If you hit a dude in the back of his head with that wrench,
Oh, he
the
did.
way he hit those two dudes with those wrenches, their head's gonna blow up.
Oh, they did.
easy.
Blood.
Blow up.
Yeah, it's not. It's like there's no way, bro. There's no way. Other than that, you know, I don't hate it. I could nitpick this joint to death, and y'all would hate me. Where they got shot, who survived what, shot my man with a sniper rifle in the desert, in the chest, and he survived that. Stop playing.
Look,
with me, dog.
look.
Like,
If you, I understand you having a bulletproof vest or whatever. It ain't stopping that rifle bullet.
she was prepared to take out a convoy.
Yes, with a lot of bombs.
But
One man ain't nothing.
But like,
In a ring, though.
if you're prepared to do that, that sniper rifle is that's like an insurance policy.
Yeah.
She hit my man, and it wasn't even really a great shot, but like, all right, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not like, should I nitpick that? Like, he was able to get an address and figure out where she worked.
Hey, look.
And she was
That
able to
spy laptop had a
him.
billing address.
Yeah, like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, the bomb had a billing address, and she identified him watching him
The
pee
leg
from
taking.
behind.
Shaking
He was looking at that screen like, it can't be.
I know that shape. I know that shape.
Right. Like, it can't. Like, there's no. It's dumb, bro. Like, if I really start being like, yo, nah, because the thing is, this movie's dumb, and it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, if you like, I could nitpick that joint all day. Matter of fact, Cinema Sins that joint. Like, you know. But yeah, that's my issues.
All right, Frosty, what about yours?
The whole, like, they're shot multiple times, but they're only getting hit on like one under the vest, one in the arm, but they're all just centered here. None of those motherfuckers are taking a headshot. I don't think so.
100%.
Like,
Hey, listen, y'all trained.
flying.
Y'all shoot to kill.
Yeah, so that was really like that was a big pain point for me. It was like just the amount of bullets flying, and
These the same spies that work with them in the field on a regular basis, bro. Like, I'm having issues right now.
Yeah,
what is going on? And my man, listen, they had the Puff Daddy shiny suits at the end of the joint. Like, they climbed out the sewer, went into the Home Goods joint, and just put on the most spectacular shiny gear with the vest on top. And I'm just thinking, all right, I'm okay with like her having the shiny joint with the vest. Like, I can see the all-girl squad, which, by the way, she's at like an all-female spy agency, but Keith David is the father. Is the father? That's what they call him, father. He's in charge. It's like he got a whole harem of Charlie's Angels. It's a little
Then
tricky,
stop
dog.
at 3. He got the 3 and it's like, I gotta do more.
I need more.
Yeah, Keith David. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. As far as for myself, it was just some of the CG just was looking bad and very dated.
It was
at times.
2005.
I know, but not all the time. It was just certain things that when I saw it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like putting the stuff in the furnace to burn up. Like, what is this cheap ass furnace doing? Looking around all this expensive equipment, like it looks terrible. Them pulling the belt off a dude, and he has this Spy Kids looking grid in his belt. I'm like, y'all can just put a microphone in it or a red dot. Like, where is this coming from? Some of those CG choices was throwing me out so bad when I was watching.
Saying you gonna tell me you wasn't upset when they fired them spears across the building?
Yes. That was my next one. That was like disgusting. The guns looked terrible, cheesy. Like, I was like, because I did not remember that until I saw it. I was like, what is all of this? Like, I erased this from my memory apparently. But yeah,
Slim,
all that stuff.
The most high-tech agency, and he's like working out of Vince Vaughn's mother house. Like I don't know the difference in their abilities. He infiltrated their entire joint, fooled them, faked the like. He's way better than them. He's way better than them.
Yeah,
he could have
couldn't tell
all of them.
that was not the actual camera. Like
Ben said, the only thing I didn't like is that we didn't see the Smiths going after their prospective bosses.
Which clearly had to happen.
Right.
Hey, listen, that probably would have been a sequel if it had gotten greenlit at that point. But
at some point.
Yeah.
At some point. Jokes, what about you?
I mean, I'm kind of where you are. Like, even though it's old, like a few of the CG scenes, like it was nothing. I was just like, you know what? Listen, during the time this movie came out and stuff, the way things were, I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. This was just what the hand was dealt. Like, obviously, if this would have been like some ridiculous, super high-end budget movie, those type of things would have looked way better. But in order to kind of keep it in check, it's like some things had to get sacrificed. And like probably the bullet spraying and where things were going to and all that was just like, yeah, just don't worry about it. You guys just give them a couple shots in non-serious places, they'd be fine. But otherwise, I just kind of, you know what? I roll with it. It's because it's an action comedy flick. I'm just like, it just all plays together. And I
just reminded me of when she threw the knife in his leg, and he was like, "We'll talk about this later."
Which
is so totally fine.
Because I want you to know she had to do that on purpose, bro. She don't
really did.
The looks on their face said it all.
Oh my god.
Domingo, what about you?
Oh, I got nothing, yo. I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I ain't got nothing.
I said I don't have no complaints. I like
all
it.
right. Well, let's go to the opposite spectrum of things and go back around. What is something that we liked about the movie? Let's start back over with you, Gage. We have a couple here in the chat. Let me get those up first, though.
Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that.
We have Ben Hamilton. He's saying the mall battle was sick.
Mm-hmm. Not mad at
also, he says interrogating the tank scene was hilarious.
Hey, listen.
But I'm going to tell you what. Look, I don't know if y'all are all old enough to know what that phone, the kind of weight that phone really has, bro.
That don't hurt.
That the way she swung that phone at his face,
he should have been unconscious. He should have been unconscious. Like
she hit him with a brick, with a bell inside of it. Like
the weight,
with a full swing.
And listen, when you lift it, because a lot of that weight was in the back of it, so it's like when you just get slammed upside of the head. Come on.
Hey, look, he started spilling all the beans.
Oh, I would too. I ain't getting hit by that thing a second time.
Yeah.
I want my thumbs too.
What I like about this movie, for real, I mean, are you looking for like a specific part or just like overall?
No, it doesn't have to be a specific part. It could be something about the acting, something about the directing, just something about that stood out to you that you just really liked about the film.
I mean, we've already talked about the audio. Obviously, the audio really stands out for me. But, I think this movie is that perfect marriage of comedy and action that, like, things that I wouldn't be forgiving at all about if this was an action movie. Are like, well, I mean, it's like you can't even, it doesn't take itself too seriously. as serious as it is. It's like super over the top. These two agents who are supposed to be like, they're like the two best agents in their field, and they have no idea that the person they've been sleeping with, married to for 5 or 6 years, can't even keep track of time. They don't know that person's a spy. Like, all right,
they lied about everything.
So like for real, it's just like throw it all out the window, bro, and just have a good time, because that's all this joint is. It's just a good time. I will say this: I haven't watched this movie in a long time, and the parallels between this movie and the new show, there are way more parallels between those two than I remembered and was able to like really put it together until I was watching this again. It's just really well done. It just really is very well put together, and like the amount of action you get versus the amount of comedy you get versus the amount of just like storytelling and like story building, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like it just doesn't. There are pieces of it that just don't make sense, but like the chunks they give it to you in and the way they kind of mix it all together, the way it's edited, that's what I'm gonna say. The way that it's edited, it just comes together really clean. So I just like the way that they parse everything out in the movie.
Let's see. Heather says
that was what I was gonna
when he dropped the bottle and she caught it at that moment they knew it was on.
Beat me to it.
Oh, we're going to talk about the jokes if that's yours. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, when after things they start putting the pieces together that they're about to come at each other, and when he came home for dinner, things were like special. Like he was already like, oh, she trying to kill me.
But the poison's like set out and the Drano's set out, just very like.
So he poured out like the martini joke, but she took the olive out and ate the olive. I was like, all right, she wasn't trying to kill me right there. But that moment where he had the wine, I was like, you want some wine? Poured the wine. It was like, dropped it in. She had the spider sense joint and literally just caught the joint. I was like, he hit that look and it was just like, oh shit. And so she just dropped it. And it was just like, it's on. Go get the gun, baby. Like, between it's just like that whole relationship, seeing it literally at the end where it's getting ready to crumble and fall apart, to the fact that once they come clean with each other, like, wait, so you a secret spy too? And then we start getting these like, it's like the love, like they're like, okay, now I think I really do love you now. They're leading up to the scene in the kitchen, but that whole scene was, and then of course when she afterwards when they were running, he was trying to catch her, and she got in the car and drove off, and he's running through all the neighbors' yards, and he tries to jump over the fence. Yeah, he tries to jump over the fence and accidentally shoots the one bullet. It's just like, that was an accident. And you can see in her face, like, you just try to kill me. Hey, love it.
I'm pretty much there with you, Jokes. My favorite thing about this movie is a combination between, I would say, the acting and the writing, because their banter from the opening scene with them in therapy all the way to the end where they're back in therapy is my absolute favorite thing about this movie.
Ask us the sex question again.
From whether they're sitting at tables.
This joint.
It was ready for it.
This joint. It's not even just him saying it. Yeah,
but it's all those times. So even like when they're not getting along and they're sitting at dinner and they're like in this little drought with them, like you pass the salt, salt's in the middle. Oh, is that the middle? Yeah, it's in between us. Like the look on his face, like I want to choke the hell out of you right now, but I just can't. And just seeing how it goes from that to trying to kill each other, their banter there, to getting back on the same page. Like you said, going back down memory lane. Oh wait, I knew that wasn't your parents at the wedding. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
I knew I saw him. I know.
And like all the little mannerisms and everything between one another, like you could tell what was going on with them off camera, played on camera as well. You know what I mean? They just played in
hey, you know what, Zen? I'm gonna tell you what my favorite thing about the interaction between them is, just like in terms of a moment, is when they're at the neighbor's house. And he walks past and she's holding the baby. And the way they look at each other is like,
that was it.
I don't even. But again, they play on that in the new show. Like it's a whole thing. It's actually kind of dope, man.
Yeah, but that's it for me. Like I said, it's between their acting, how they paired off each other, and that banter between them the entire time. I I loved it now way more, I would say, than I probably did back when I first saw it. And that's just from age and all that kind of stuff, being able to relate to the conversations they're having and all that kind of stuff. So what about you, Domingo?
There's too many parts in there, but if I had to pick one that stands out for me, it's the whole the last scene. Well, no, sorry, when he goes into the elevator, and of course, they blow up the elevator. But when they meet in the restaurant, they do the tango. Because now it's like, okay, great. You tried to kill me. It's official. Then he meets back, and she has a little bit of remorse. You see, like, the 2 tears come out of her eye while she's holding the champagne glass. And he walks up and puts the champagne glass. He said, I tried to drop in on you. And because you gave me the shaft. And then it's like, and then it's like, they get to frisking each other on the floor and throws a knife out and takes the little gun and puts it in the ice bucket. And then he bangs her against the wall, and then she puts a bomb in his pocket. And it's like,
your ticket?
My man, your ticket. Hey, why nobody paid my after you took the joint, just threw it in the mailbox? Like, hey, it's that. It should be like, it's that dude right.
Instead, the remote driver's like, you need a car?
Right.
Yeah. It's Jack. I don't know why they did that extra speed up thing. That was
terrible. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my favorite ones. Like I said, I don't really have anything bad to say about the movie. I don't think the writing is bad. I don't think everything is. I think it's actually, it stands on its own. Which key and point is that one of the reasons why, like, Hollywood has so many writers, has so many things they could take chances on, but they continuously do remakes and stuff that's actually old or doesn't really need a remake at all. The thing about the new show that who the people you have behind it. So aesthetically pleasing, it looks good, is great writing, and it's a different kind of take on the story. So it's a different thing at taking the story and putting 2 actors in it again, and then retelling the story all over with 2 new actors. But they took a whole different plane. So in that case, this is one of those movies that serves as a great blueprint for somebody to do something totally different if they want to, or you could just leave it at its own, and it stands as being one of the best action comedy movies with 2 of the biggest stars at that time to star in it. Keep it simple.
About Frosty, do you have a favorite moment? Or favorite thing? A moment or thing about the movie?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with whoever said the writing. Like, the writing is just incredible. The banter. That would be my favorite part, is just the way that this is written. So
awesome. All right, before we get to our final question that I do have one on the side that I want to throw at Gage, but maybe Domingo now, because it seems like you saw the show as well, Domingo. Is that correct?
Just a little bit. I haven't watched it all.
Okay, I'm not sure if you 2 Jokes and Frosty have seen the show yet. I know me and Gage have talked about it a little. I just want to know, one thing people are going to ask, the movie versus the show, like which one is better? I just want to get quick thoughts on, maybe Gage, where do you stand on that now watching the movie again, for people who just might want to know, who coming back behind us might want to know how we feel about the movie versus the show?
Honestly, they're 2 different entities, to be real. If I had to say pick one to watch, like, you couldn't watch the other one, the movie is better than the show. The show is like, it's a different approach. It's I guess you could consider it a continuation from the movie, in that whatever they did, they started this new thing, and now the people in the show are part of the thing that Brad and Angelina's characters started. So it has a lot of the same kinds of tropes. It does have the comedy, it does have the action. It takes the relationship portion of it much more seriously. And I think that's just the case because it's broken down over the course of 8 episodes. There's a whole episode that is basically just them in therapy. Which, if you go into that show looking to get out of it what you get out of this movie, you'll be disappointed, I think. I just think you have to be prepared to understand that the show and what the show is and what the movie are 2 very different things in terms of writing for television and doing a presentation for something that's going to give you like 8 hours of content versus having an hour and a half of content, right? This movie probably suffers the most in terms of its storytelling and writing from having to be cut and edited to something that fits into an hour and a half. If they had more time, it would be a lot of those little things that seem like, would be very different. So I think that the movie as a whole is better. But I do think that this show is for an audience that came up in this time period. And that movie is for people who were living in that time period.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
it's
I
the
like
same,
the show.
but a slightly different approach to it. They tweak some things here that play, like you say, more into nowadays than back then in the early 2000s.
Yeah. To be honest, watching this movie and then thinking about the show as an afterthought, right? Like, because again, I haven't seen the movie in so long.
Mm-hmm.
The way that the world is set up is much more like the Avatar. The Avatar is one of the most brilliantly written pieces of storytelling because it is created in a way where you can infinitely tell other stories within that universe.
Mm-hmm.
And this now having the show, it takes that to the they literally introduce other Mr. and Mrs. Smiths in the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, they're not the only ones. They could tell this story over and over again with different people, with different stories in different places, with different abilities, with different races and relationships and so forth. So like, there is a certain level of brilliance in that is born out of what this movie was. And I think that speaks a bit to what Domingo was saying about the movie itself standing the test of time and then kind of being like infinitely replayable. It is. If somebody's like, I'm just trying to see something that's really good and I don't have a whole lot of time, the movie's going to win out overall. But if you got some time and you don't mind like some really kind of deeper delving into like the relationships between two people, along with some action and comedy, like then the show is really is where you want to go. Yeah, the show is a bit more serious and from that standpoint. It's hard to measure them that way.
Yeah, I enjoy them both a lot. I'm a fan of the property, and I didn't know I was gonna like the show as much as I did. Overall, as far as like how they closed out each one, I prefer the way they closed out the show more so than the movie. That's just a personal preference for me. I like how they did it, and it's one of those things that kind of up my alley. But I pretty much agree with you on a lot of what you said, comparing the two. Yeah, different time periods, different things that happen. Like you said, the relationship aspect of it, I really got into. Like, yeah. So before we get out here, let's get into the final question. Little fun for us. All right. If things went the way that the agencies wanted to go with them taking each other out, who would have ended up winning? Would have been John or Jane?
John.
I agree.
Easy. It's John easy. He was already in their bro. I told you. He was in he infiltrated their whole facility, dog. He infiltrated their whole facility. Everybody in that building be dead. Period. And it wouldn't have took 48 hours. Oh, no. She lost that joint off the early. Off the early.
Frosty, what you saying?
John, yeah.
John?
Yep.
So
I want to fight for Angelina, but
no,
I would rather she win.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen.
In this case, it's not.
Ain't gonna happen.
So all agreements that John would have won overall across the board. All right. Good to know. Oh, what? Domingo, why are you making that face?
You didn't ask him.
Exactly.
I thought when people were saying, my bad. I thought when somebody was saying John, I thought it was your voice that rung out. My bad. Continue. I mean, who do you think wins? And why?
I was gonna say Angie by accident because it's like the girl pushed the button and killed them. She didn't do it, so I think it'll probably been her. But I'm gonna say John. I'm gonna say John because of that. Because he was in there. He did catch him twice, back to back on his way. So
caught him straight slipping, bro. Like by itself. She had a whole squad.
Facts.
She showed up in her own house with a whole squad.
He's had Vince Vaughn for support.
Yeah, he had computers. He had some tweezers and a furnace.
Yeah, he was dog. Like he made them literally burn down a whole operation and run, and then told her like, chicken shit. Like,
Oh, yeah.
she had a decent comeback, but he was actually telling the truth. They whole squad ran. They was like, oh snap, he's in the building. She was like, escape plan C. Hey dog, he way better, bro.
They
Period.
abandoned the ship so fast.
Yeah.
Burn the stuff.
He way better, dog.
Oh man! All right, so let's go around. Our ranking's still the same. Has anybody changed? Gage, you still at an 8?
Yeah, dog. I'm not giving or taking. That's an 8.
All right, Frosty, you still at yours?
Same. Yeah.
Same. I'm still in mine at a 9. Jokes, what about you?
Still in an 8.
Still at 8. Domingo?
Same 9.
All right, so 8s and 9s across the boards for us for Mr. and Mr. Smith from 2005. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this as much as we did talking about it. Because we will see you next month. I believe, Jokes, you have the movie.
I made a change because the one that I was trying, I didn't mean to do that, but I was trying to get the one I was trying to do that. It's not on anything, so I made another switch. Ironically enough, it came up because of that one, so I picked Ready Player One.
Yes. Fucking love that movie. This is gonna be
down.
a cakewalk.
I'm down for that. I'm down for that. All right, so
Damn.
y'all heard it. Ready Player One is next month movie of the month. So we will see you all next month to discuss that. But until then, we will talk to you all later. Deuces.
Bye.
Loading snacks.